Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome to Goal Line Hockey. So, as the NHL Free Agency frenzy of 2020 has begun, we're going to take a look at the early signings in this video. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below, and let's take a look at some of the free agent frenzy. Alright, so before we get too far into this video, just want to give a couple of quick plugs to some of our other channels at Goal Line Sports, where we talk about all things college football, as well as a plug to our Instagram and Twitter handles at goalline_hockey. Links will be in the description down below, as well as throughout this video. Alright, so with that said, let's get into this video as we are talking about the free agency period of the 2020 NHL season. We've had the draft, we've had the Stanley Cup awarded, and it now means it's time for guys that are on expiring contracts to renegotiate or create new contracts with new organizations. We're going to be starting things off looking up at the Chicago Blackhawks as the Blackhawks extend Dominik Kubalik a 2-year, $7.4 million contract. He'll be making $3.7 million per season. Dominik Kubalik had a great rookie campaign last season with the Blackhawks. One of the very nice bright spots in the Blackhawks organization last year. Was one of the finalists for the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year. He put up 46 points in 68 games last season with the Blackhawks. A really impressive season for him. Despite the Blackhawks being in a rebuild, like I said, he is a bright spot for the future of the Blackhawks. He'll be there for the next 2 seasons, and I would assume after those 2 years, he will definitely get his payday. He is 25 years old as well, so he's a little bit on the older side, so he'll be 27 at the end of that contract, getting ready for his prime, and hopefully he could get that big contract then. Now we look up at Toronto as one of the only moves we've seen from the Toronto Maple Leafs so far this offseason. They have not signed Pietrangelo or Tyson Barrie or Krug. They're going with hometown native forward Wayne Simmonds. Wayne Simmonds on a 1-year, $1.5 million contract. I like this deal for the Leafs. I like this deal for Wayne Simmonds. They add a little bit of grit and firepower to that offense that they already have. They have plenty of guys that can put the puck in the back of the net. They need help along the puck, winning battles along the boards, in front. Wayne Simmonds will absolutely do that for the Maple Leafs. I love this signing for both sides. A new opportunity for Wayne Simmonds. After a lackluster season last year, he has an opportunity with a very high-potent offense to put up some real numbers this year. He got 25 points in 68 games last season. He will be looking to improve on those numbers. He has 499 points in his NHL career in over 900 games played in the league. A very good career for Wayne Simmonds, and maybe one day a cup with his hometown team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. He is also 32 years old. So now we're looking down at Toronto as we've got a pair of decent signings for the Lightning's blue line as they bring back Luke Schenn. Luke Schenn on a 1-year, $800,000 contract. He had 3 points in 25 games last season with the Bolts, 148 points overall in his over 500-game career. He's 32 years old. He's 30 years old. He's a great player, a great depth piece for the Tampa Bay Lightning's defense. I think they're going to have an issue re-signing a guy like Kevin Shattenkirk because they still have to sign guys like Mikhail Sergachev. So they have, and Anthony Cirelli. So they have priorities set on other areas in the roster. So unfortunately, Luke Schenn is a cheaper deal, and he's a pretty reliable depth defenseman for the Lightning. And meanwhile, you've also got the 2-time Stanley Cup champion now in Pat Maroon. Pat Maroon signs a 2-year, $1.8 million contract. He'll be making $900,000 per season on a very cheap deal, but I think he likes his time in Tampa. We saw that in his post-Cup celebrations. He is enjoying life right now. He got 23 points last season in 64 games last year. Over 200 points in his over 500 games in the NHL. He's 32 years old. There's a lot of excitement around Pat Maroon. He's feeling great right now. Finally got a 2-year contract. A great opportunity with the Bolts. I think he's just enjoying life right now. The money is less of a concern to him. He wants to keep winning. He likes having fun down there in Tampa, and it just makes sense. This was a great signing for both sides. Now we move on to another signing that is great for both sides. A great story overall toward the end of last season. One of the bright spots for the Ottawa Senators. Bobby Ryan has signed a 1-year, $1 million contract with the Detroit Red Wings. Bobby had 24 points. He played 24 games last season. He had his off the ice issues with alcohol. Ended up putting 8 points up at the end of the season. He played very well. He has over 500 points in over 800 career games in the NHL. He's 33 years old. This is a great opportunity for Bobby Ryan to play in that top six again, most likely with the Detroit Red Wings. They're a very young, developing organization there, so a great opportunity for Bobby, and I like this signing by Steve Yzerman, adding some depth to that forward group. And then we've got for the Florida Panthers, staying in state, is Radko Gudas, as he was with the Florida Panthers with the Tampa Bay Lightning a few years back, most recently with the Washington Capitals. He signs a 3-year, $7.5 million contract. He had 15 points in 63 games last season, over 120 points in his almost 500-game NHL career. He's 30 years old. A great signing for both sides. The Florida Panthers, they did lose Michael Matheson when they traded him to the Pittsburgh Penguins. They lost that little bit of grit on the back end, and they reestablished that right off the bat here, bringing in Radko Gudas on a cheaper contract. And let's be honest, he's going to provide the same things that we saw with Michael Matheson and probably a little bit more, if we're going to be honest. So I like this signing by the Florida Panthers, and adding that little bit of grit going to help them in the playoffs. Really good move by the Florida Panthers. And now we move on to the Vancouver Canucks, who have had themselves an interesting day so far, but we'll be looking at the first one here as we have Tyler Motte signing a 2-year, $2.45 million contract to re-sign with the Canucks. He had 8 points in 34 games last season. He had 38 points in his almost 200-game NHL career. He's 25 years old. He's just getting into his prime. I like this signing for both sides. Maybe a little bit too much money for Tyler Motte, but he's a solid depth piece on a 2-year deal. 1.2 something per season is not going to kill the Vancouver Canucks, especially to add to that depth. They did not re-sign Tyler Toffoli, so having some depth in their organization, I like the move for both sides. Tyler Motte gets some money, and he's going to be playing with a contender in that Western Conference in the Vancouver Canucks. So this is one of the bigger signings we saw today so far, as we've been hearing rumors about this over the past couple of days, that the Washington Capitals goaltending situation was going to change, as Braden Holtby would be branching off, and they will be looking for a replacement behind their Russian superstar goaltender in Ilya Samsonov. And that guy he's coming up from the Big Apple, as New York Rangers formerly starting goaltender, franchise goaltender, Henrik Lundqvist is now a member of the Washington Capitals. Yes, you heard that right. Yes, you can pinch yourself. Yes, it's true. It is true. You could splash cold water on your face. Henrik Lundqvist is going down to D.C. to play with Alexander Ovechkin, John Carlson, and the Washington Capitals. He signed a 1-year, $1.5 million contract. He had a .905 save percentage last season, over 3 goals against average per game last year, which was a tough year for Henrik Lundqvist. He's hoping to rebound this year with the Washington Capitals. He is 38 years old, so this is a 35-plus contract, so it's only a 1-year deal, so I don't expect it having too many implications on the Capitals, but a good signing, a cheaper option than Braden Holtby, who we saw got over $4 million in his contract. I like this deal for Henrik. He's going to be playing on a very solid defense. His family can still stay up at the Big Apple. He's only 4 hours away on a train ride or 2 hours on a flight. So good news for the Washington Capitals. They were able to get a solid goaltender, and they can continue their opportunities to win a Stanley Cup. That window is open. And now we look at the Edmonton Oilers. Ken Holland going out and picking up some forward depth as he signs Kyle Turris to a 2-year, $3.3 million contract. A good signing for both sides. 31 points in 61 games last season for Kyle Turris. 419 points in his over 700 games at the NHL level. He's 31 years old. He's a little bit past his prime. This is a good depth signing, though. He adds some leadership. This is a good signing for both sides. I like what they are doing, and we'll see how this goes. But I like Kyle Turris with the Edmonton Oilers. Now looking at the Minnesota Wild, as this was one of the head-scratchers of the day, as Bill Guerin has his starting goaltender, as he waits in the wings for Kaapo Kähkönen to develop. He needs a bridge goaltender, and he's decided that he's going to invest 3 years at $11 million in Cam Talbot. Cam Talbot, a pretty interesting signing. You could say there were a lot of other goaltending options on the market, and he decides to go for Cam Talbot. He had a .919 save percentage last season, a .263 goals against average. He's 33 years old. He is a guy that's had his issues. He played okay with the Edmonton Oilers, all right with the Calgary Flames, but really his most successful period at the NHL level was with the New York Rangers back in the day when he was a rookie backing up Henrik Lundqvist. So it's going to be interesting to see how Cam Talbot looks in the future. This is an interesting signing. I don't know if I'd give him the money that the Wild did, and for 3 years as well. I don't know. I maybe would have tried to look at a guy like Thomas Greiss or Jacob Markstrom or even a Marc-Andre Fleury in a trade because the Wild have the cap space. So, there's a couple interesting things to look at, but the Wild have established their starting goaltender in Cam Talbot. So now, the Vancouver Canucks, their second signing is they re-signed Tyler Motte earlier in the day. There's still rumblings that they may be doing some stuff later on today. But now we also get their starting goaltender situation figured out, as they seem like they want to keep Thatcher Demko, and behind him, or as a 1A, 1B option, they have signed Braden Holtby to a 2-year, $8.6 million contract. He had under a .900 save percentage last season at an .897. He had given up an over 3 goals against average at .311. He's 31 years old. Interesting signing here by Jim Benning and the Vancouver Canucks as they decide to walk away from Jacob Markstrom, who probably wasn't going to be commanding that much more here than Braden Holtby. But Braden Holtby's value has absolutely been detrimented by his season last year, his recent success, his recent issues in the Stanley Cup playoffs. A very, very interesting signing. I thought he would be making a little bit more than he did on the market, but good move by Jim Benning and the Vancouver Canucks. And then the other big goaltender we saw picked up not too long ago is we see Dallas Stars Anton Khudobin, the goaltender that got them to the Western Conference Finals, into the Stanley Cup Finals this year. He signed a 3-year, $10.5 million contract. He had a .930 save percentage last season, a 2.22 goals against average. He's 34 years old, so he's under that 35-plus contract, and he signed a 3-year deal. This one could come back to the Dallas Stars and bite them in the butt. After one successful season, he gets a 3-year deal. I don't know how I feel about that long-term for the Dallas Stars. Is he going to be this good at 37 years old? I don't know about that. So, interesting signing overall, but we'll see how things work out. Now we got another goaltending signing as we see the Ottawa Senators, who they recently acquired from the Pittsburgh Penguins last week at the draft. Matt Murray, the starting goaltender, it's official. He signs a 4-year, $25 million contract. He had an under .900 save percentage last season, an .899 save percentage, a .287 goals against average. He's 26 years old. The former Pittsburgh Penguins goaltender has struggled there in Pittsburgh. This is a good opportunity for him in Ottawa, a rebuilding organization. It's going to be a challenge for him up there. He's making over $6 million per season, so he hit the market there good. But considering what he did last year, the Ottawa Senators are taking a chance, so we'll see how this works out, but interesting move by Eugene Melnyk, the group up there in Ottawa. All right, so now we look at the Florida Panthers as they go off the board here. We saw what they did bringing in Radko Gudas earlier in the day, and now they also bring in Carter Verhaeghe as one of their forwards as a 2-year contract, $2 million, $1 million per season for Carter Verhaeghe. A good move there, just adding some depth to the forward group. And they also add Alexander Wennberg, former first-round pick of the Columbus Blue Jackets, former top 10 draft pick. Alexander Wennberg. He signs a 1-year, $2.25 million contract. He had 22 points last season in 57 games played. He has over 200 points at the NHL level, but Alexander Wennberg has fallen far from where he was. He was just bought out by the Blue Jackets earlier this week. This is a good opportunity for him to start over in Florida, and a pretty solid Florida Panthers team. He should be able to play in the top 6 at points if they have some injuries. So great opportunity for Wennberg to turn the page on his career, and under a coach like Coach Quenneville, he's going to absolutely get that opportunity. So we'll see how things go. I like this signing for both sides, if I'm going to be honest. So we'll see how that goes. Now we see a couple of other little things. We see Tyler Pitlick go to the Arizona Coyotes. They signed him to a 2-year, $3.5 million contract. Interesting move. Tyler Pitlick played pretty well in the playoffs for the Dallas Stars. Would I be comfortable giving him that much money? I don't know. On a 2-year deal, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. And then we see the Pittsburgh Penguins re-sign Evan Rodriguez on a 1-year, $700,000 deal. So that's it for this video. Comment down below, what do you think of these signings so far? I'll be posting a video tomorrow morning talking about the signings tonight as well as into the morning tomorrow. We'll be taking a look at all that in the morning, so stay tuned for that. But let me know so far, what do you think of these signings? Still see Alex Pietrangelo, Tyson Barrie, some of those bigger names still on the board, Torrey Krug. Let me know where you think they're going to go in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.